Alright, welcome everybody to week 3, day 2. We are going to be talking about truth tables today, which is something that every computer science major knows and loves, except we don't love them. The notion of a truth table is when somebody makes a sentence, we want to know if a compound sentence is true. So, or a statement, let's say. So let's say that that X, maybe I'll use. Do you guys want the white lettering? Do you want the rainbow lettering or the galaxy lettering? I'll let you pick. Enter your votes now for what kind of font color I use. Galaxy it is. All right. All right. So let's say that X is the statement Biden is president. Is this true or false? Is this a true statement right now, or is it a false statement right now? According to most people. Yeah. Yeah. Again, I'm not somebody who is really interested in splitting hairs or anything like that. Yeah, it's true. It's a true statement. So X is true. And let's say that Y is the statement. Kearney is the professor for your CSI 1 class. True or false? Also true. Okay. Yeah, so X is true and Y is true. I would say both of those are true. And again, it's not, for this class, questions of t-shirt color aside, I'm not here really to well, how do you we've talked already about, well, how do you know that Kearney is your professor? Perhaps I'm just a recording and I died 30 years ago and this is all just a sophisticated deepfake AI. You like the galaxy? Good. So the topic of today is what happens if you have a compound statement. Okay. So and we will go over the quiz for valid, invalid, and sound in a little bit, but I want to kind of hit the new topic because this is I like to hit the hardest topics first in the semester of all things, so that way I can hit it on the midterm and the second midterm and the final, and that gives you enough repetitions that it sticks in your head by the end of class. We'll be moving on to social issues and computer science next week probably. We'll do one more thing on logic on Friday, and then on Monday of next week we'll move on to social issues and computer science with the tools for argumentation under our belt. So the question is it true? Is it true that both X and Y true? Anybody actually get wings? That's funny. Yeah, sure. Yes. X and Y is true. Yep. X and Y, yep, is true. Sure. Okay, that's easy. What about, is it true that X or Y is true? Now this is where our English brains can come and screw us up. Is it true that either X or Y are true? And the answer here is, well, what or are we talking about? And when we're talking or, there's actually two different ors. There is what's called the inclusive or, and then there is the exclusive or. Inclusive or is what we use in logic, and that means either or both. Either or both. In this case, they're both true, so yes, it is true. It is true that X or Y is true. Okay. Exclusive or is what oftentimes we use in English. Not always. We sometimes use this one too. So sometimes we use this in English, and we also use it in logic. Sometimes we use the exclusive or in English. For example, do you think that we should do you think we should go to war with the Soviet Union over them installing nuclear missiles in Cuba, or do you think we should blockade them? That or doesn't mean you could do both. It means either, but not both. Right? You guys understand? If your mom says, hey, where do you want to go for dinner? Do you want to go to DeChico's, or do you want to go to get sushi? You know, that or is exclusive. You can't say yes. I mean, you can, but your mom's like, all right, you know what I mean. You know, a lot of times we say or in English, we mean exclusive or. You can pick one or the other, but not both. Are you guys with me on this? So, we typically indicate this in English with a slight stress on or. That's how we indicate it's exclusive. You need to clean your room or you're going to get punished. Right? The stress on that or means I'm not going to punish you and you clean your room. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be very odd. The kid's like, I clean my room. And you're like, you get punishment. What? It's logic. Or could be both. No, the kid's like, no. You're using exclusive or on me, mommy. You stressed the word. Clean your room or you get punishment. You know? You guys understand? So, in logic, though, if we just write or, it's always inclusive or. Okay? If we wanted to represent exclusive or in logic, we would write XOR, like this. Or sometimes we use the caret character. And so if this was an exclusive or, is it true that X or Y, this is false, right? Because that means they're mutually exclusive. That's why it's called exclusive or. If they're mutually exclusive terms, then you know, for example, if we change this to Kearney is the, I'll use the rainbow font. Right. Is it true that either Kearney is the president or Biden is the president? What do you think? And then the child gets punished for correcting the mother. Depends on your mom. Yeah. Although if my kid was like, no, daddy, that's exclusive or, I'd be like, all right, fair enough. Well done, child. That, you know, fair enough, you know. So is it true that either Biden or Kearney is the president? Yeah. Now, if we said, is it true that Biden is president, X or Kearney is the president? That's also true because in this case Y is false, right? So sometimes XOR and inclusive OR give you the same result, right? So in this case, X or Y and X or Y are the same because I'm not the president, right? So under some circumstances they're the same, but in the previous example where Y was Kearney is the professor for your class, if we were talking XOR, it would give you a false result. All right. Unfortunately, I'm not. But it is true that either Biden or myself is president. I'm not going to tell you which. That is a true statement. Okay. So just be careful. My point here is just to be careful. Whenever whenever you see an or, just stop for a moment and be like, because your English brain will oftentimes interpret it from context to mean exclusive or. Okay. But in logic, when we say or, it's inclusive or. Okay. If we wanted to say exclusive or, it would be written as, XOR. One or the other, but not both. One or the other, but not both. That's what XOR means. So in any homework problem you see here, an or will always be inclusive. Okay. So, all right. So let's talk truth tables. So truth tables are ways of working out the truth of compound sentences. So a compound sentence is one that has multiple things in it, like X and Y, right? X or Y. That's a compound truth statement. And a truth table works out all of the possibilities. Okay, that's a Y somehow. Okay. So a truth table works out all of the possibilities. Are you doing this to me again, where it's not erasing? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's fine. There. Let's get that out. Ooh, it's pretty. So I guess it's revealing the universe. The secrets of the universe are revealed in CSI 1. It's very pretty. Okay, so a truth table shows all the possibilities. So X or Y. And so all the possibilities are these. X is true, Y is true, X is true, Y is false, X is false, Y is true, X is false, Y is false. Let's extend this down. Okay. So if you have two statements, X is Biden is president, Y is Kearney is president, or Kearney's your professor, whatever, there's four possibilities for the values of X and Y together. Right? X can be true or false, Y can be true or false. And so when you multiply them together, you get sort of an exponential growth, right? You get four possibilities, right? X is true, Y is true, X is true, Y is false. And so what we do with the truth table is we kind of like write down all of the possible outcomes of the compound sentence. So this is inclusive, this is inclusive or. So is it true that X or Y is true when X is true and Y is true? What you do when you do a truth table is you kind of go left to right like this, one row at a time. You kind of read it left to right, and you fill in the blanks, and that's what you're gonna have to do on the quiz and the midterm and things like that. So what is the value here that you have to fill in? X is true, Y is true. So is it true that X or true is true? It's a lot of trues, but what goes here? True. Yeah. Okay. And then what goes here? So we finished the first row, we move on to the second row. True ORed with false. Also true, very good. And then false ORed with true. Also true, good. And then false ORed with false. And that one's false, very good. All true except for the last one. Good. Now let's do the same thing, but this time for exclusive or. Okay. So we got X, we got Y, and then we're going to have X, XOR Y. In logic, there's a lot of weird symbols. You would think that means exponentiation. It doesn't. Okay, so let's fill in the possibilities again. True and true, true and false, false and true, false and false. Okay, so for exclusive or, this means either are true but not both. So in this case, both of them are true, so the answer is false. Okay. What about for this one? True, false? True. Okay. Jung has it already done. Right, so that is true. that is true, and that is false. Right? So it's your job when you're doing a truth table. I will give you the setup, and then you have to sort of like write in the answers here. Like I'll have a fill in the blank thing, and you like type the answers in. All right. So now let's do it for and. X, Y, X, and Y. True, 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 false, false, true, false, false. Okay, true and with true is what? Are both of these true? Yeah, that's true. Now, what about for these two? True anded with true is only true if both are true. So is the result here true or is it false? Yeah, Nico, very good. It's false. False, false, and false. Okay. And then there's just kind of like one more, which is not. Which oftentimes we write with an exclamation mark for some reason. Sometimes in logic you'll see it written like that, like a little finger gun kind of thing. It means not. Okay. And that could be written like this, or it could be written like this, or it could be written like this. There's a lot of dumb symbols, and I don't know why there's no standardization of it, but there's not. There's at least 3 different ways of writing every one of these things. For and, you can write it as a multiply symbol. For or, you can write it as a plus symbol. That's how electrical engineers do it. For good reason, but it's just more terminology and more symbols. Yeah. Okay, so there's only 2 possibilities here, true and false. What is the opposite of true? What is the opposite of true? Not is the opposite. So when you reverse the polarity of the main deflector dish. False. Very good. And false becomes true. And that's it. So these are kind of the basics. And then you can do bigger truth tables that have like 3 variables in them. But basically, if you understand these 3, or, and not, XOR I guess is kind of important too, but mainly these 3 here, then you can kind of do any truth table. Yeah, so that's it. We'll just stop there for now with the truth tables, and let's look at the quiz from Monday, because I do actually kind of want to hammer the valid, invalid, and sound thing. I'm going to need to log in using my 2FA. Approved. Yeah, thank you. This is the quiz from the 29th. Quiz statistics. Average score of 93. Wait. Okay. Do we not do valid, invalid, and sound? I seem to recall that we did. Am I misremembering this? Okay. Well, let's go over this one then. Is this an example of a priori or a posteriori reasoning? I know that there are no married bachelors in New York. You did do it? Okay. 129. Yeah. Oh no, this would be from the 31st. Okay. Yeah. Makes sense? Okay, well, let's go over this one too. A priori or a posteriori. This is a priori because you don't actually need to go out and make an observation of the people in New York, because the term bachelor means an unmarried person. I'm not sure what that says about a Bachelor of Science or Bachelor of Arts degrees, but there's probably some hidden meaning there. I don't know. You're too busy to date or something. I don't know. But but you can know that there are no married bachelors in New York without doing an observation. And you can know that because it's a contradiction, right? Contradictions can't exist, and so you know that there are no four-sided triangles in Australia. You don't have to fly to Australia and look at all the triangles in Australia. You can just know there are no four-sided triangles in Australia because triangles have three sides, right? So they're too busy working to pay rent for a 1 square foot apartment. Yeah, that's true. Honestly, if you want to talk about social issues, the housing issue is probably the biggest and most important issue in our society today. It impacts everything. Think about homelessness. Do you think there'd be homelessness if there was cheap rent? Probably still a little bit, but not very much, right? Homelessness is in large part driven by high rent prices. The fact that people aren't getting married as often or having kids as often has very much to do with their housing situation. When you're living in your sister's house, or whatever. Aussie's just built different. I know, right? That's why I use Australia as an example. I mean, they got spiders the size of small dogs. I mean, who knows? Maybe they have four-sided triangles, but that's a priori. And if you want me to engage in like conspiracy theory reasoning, I think the reason why we don't really talk about the issue of why rent and mortgage are so high is because it's one of those few issues where you've got both the Democrats and the Republicans kind of on the same team. Because Republican homeowners want their home values to go up. They've already made theirs and they want to screw the next generation. Well, they won't say that explicitly, but when you have a house, you want the value of the house to go up. That increases your net worth. Democrats, on their side, care about environmental issues. And so, for example, I grew up in San Diego, and in the 1980s, there was this movement called No Growth, which was basically a movement to outlaw all new housing starts in San Diego. And it didn't succeed, but we got instead slow growth, which meant the amount of housing starts, the amount of new development in San Diego would be severely restricted. And this was brought about by a political alliance from both the left and the right, of environmentalists saying we want to preserve the canyons and wildlife, and from people who already owned houses being like, we want our houses to go up in value. And then since then, if you look at the price of housing in San Diego, everybody wants to live in San Diego. It's got the best weather in the country. And there's high tech there, there's jobs there, it's beautiful, there's beaches, like San Diego's amazing. And so the housing prices went whoop, like that because they restricted supply. And so, basically, for noble or perhaps selfish reasons, depending on your perspective, they kind of screwed over all you guys. So, and there's just like, nobody really talks about it, Like if you tune into, the news every night, like they don't say, wow, nobody can afford a home, because both sides happen to be in alignment on this issue. So they just kind of don't talk about it, So, it's not much of a conspiracy theory because that is actually what happened. But to the extent that people are trying to do something about it, there are people that are trying to do something about it. We can go into a whole thing. I can bring in a guest lecturer on the topic, actually. There's people called YIMBYs that are actively trying to promote growth of building developments and high-density housing and mass transit and stuff like that to lower housing prices, because we're kind of screwing ourselves over eventually. Like, if nobody can afford to live in, San Francisco, like, imagine you want to work as an elementary school teacher in downtown San Francisco. You don't live in downtown San Francisco. You live in, like, Manteca. You live across the mountains, and you drive into Tracy or drive into Livermore or whatever, wherever the end of the BART line is. I can't remember now. And then you take the BART in, so you commute an hour and a half each way every day. So, yeah. You live in Fresno, drive to SF. Yeah. So, yeah. And so it's an interesting topic. It doesn't really have anything to do with computer science, but it is an interesting topic. and you know, there are people that are opposed to it and stuff like that. I might bring in one of my friends who's very active in that regard. Just because it is, honestly, I think it's probably the most impactful issue. Like, if people can't afford a house, like that just has knock-on effects for, you know, how do you hire your elementary school teachers, you know, how do you you know, how do you start a family, you know, if you look at the birth rate in like San Francisco, like there's like how many people have kids living in San Francisco, you know, it's a very small number. And when I was living in San Francisco 15 years ago, like, it was already a problem, and it's even worse now, you know. So, okay, rant mode off. More dogs than minors in SF, sure, yeah. Like, you know, yeah, I took my kid to a playground there, and it wasn't safe. You know, there was like needles on the ground. You know, I was like, back it up, girl. You're not going down that slide. But Daddy, no. We're going home now. Yeah. Okay. So whenever you critique another student, yeah, we used to go out to San Francisco, like even after we moved out here, because we lived there for 4 years. Like, we used to go out there and go to the Asian Art Museum, which I love. I love the Asian Art Museum. A friend of mine ran a silent movie festival, like, you know, old Charlie Chaplin movies, where they would have the San Francisco Municipal Orchestra like play live. Like, it's like, there's a lot of good things you can say about San Francisco, but like housing prices, I don't think that's controversial to say they're dumb. You know, I think bipartisan, you know, everyone can agree that housing prices in San Francisco are stupid right now. Okay, so, you know, though the pandemic, you know, sort of, you know, it's caused a lot of people to move out. It's still not cheap. Okay, so whenever you engage with another student, hold on to a chance everything said is wrong to people. No, you don't do that. Oh, it's just I didn't call it 131. Okay. There were needles, yeah, and not just at the playground. Like, we were walking to the Asian Art Museum. We parked, and I'm holding my daughter. She was, I don't know, 4 at the time. I'm holding her hand. And there's a needle like on the sidewalk. There's poop on the sidewalk. We're like, nope, you're on Daddy's shoulders for now. And we haven't been back there since. It's been a while, and we just kind of refuse to go there now. It's really sad. You know, San Francisco has the money. You know, like, they're one of the richest cities in the entire country. Like, you know, it's just a breakdown of government, in my opinion. Okay, so y'all didn't do as well in this one as the previous one. So they have live trackers where you can see where there's human waste reported on the sidewalks and things like that. So there's an app you can report, like if you see a turd on the sidewalk, you can report it. And so there's interactive maps where you can actually see what areas are the most contaminated. Join class in a weird moment. Yeah, so talking about data science, actually, what a great segue. So that would be an example of data science, right? So basically, people go on to their app and they report, like, oh, yeah, there's a turtle on the sidewalk there. And then it goes into a database, and then whoever it is that makes the San Francisco poop map grabs the data and visualizes it. And so that is an example of a field called data science. And I don't think Stephanie is working in that particular area of data science, but she is. So we're gonna have we're gonna pause my lecture now, and we're gonna have a maybe 10-minute talk from Stephanie, who is an amazing person. By the way, I would trust her with the life of my daughter. That's how much I like Stephanie. She's amazing, and she's also a tutor at the Tutorial Center in Fresno State. and she would like to give a talk to y'all about the services available at Fresno State. And let me unmute you, Motzenbacher. You aren't muted. Okay, so go ahead and say hi to the good people.
Hi everyone. Like you said, my name is Stephanie, and I am a stats tutor at the not the TC, at the Learning Center. I used to be a stats tutor somewhere else. So yeah. I just wanted to kind of let you guys know who we are and what we do. We have tutors for pretty much every subject. So if you want a tutor for CSI, if you want a tutor for stats, if you want a tutor for business, accounting, we've got you. So that's kind of the overview of the Learning Center and what we offer. We're located in the library in the basement. So you walk in, um, you go downstairs, and we're right there. Um, Online right now, I know this next week we're going to be online, so we're just see if I can put this in the Discord really quick. If you want to find us online, this is where we are located. So you just click that link over there and you'll find the Learning Center. That works if you just want to get tutoring for really any subject. I tutor obviously stats. I can help you with Excel. I can help you with coding in R. I know a little bit of Python. That will take you directly to the Zoom link, by the way.
Oh.
So yeah, there you go. That should take you there. And then I think there's another schedule. Let me see if I can get you the other schedule to where if you want to know when we're working. Let's see, let me find that. I suddenly lose my ability to spell when I have to type quickly.
Story of my life.
Right? So let's see. Tutoring schedule. It doesn't look like we've released the spring tutoring schedule. Probably because everything keeps getting switched around. You know what? Yeah, okay. We have it here. Let me put this also cord. Okay. So if you want to know who we have, when we have them, and what they're tutoring, and what classes they can tutor, you can just click that link. And it's interactive, so you can click down to the regular schedule tab or the other regular schedule tab. And you can be like, I worked with, Juan for writing, but I feel like working with someone else.
Yeah, forget about Juan, man.
What was that?
Forget about Juan, man.
No, Juan's a really cool dude. He's really good at writing. He's getting his master's. So if I'm gonna go get writing, honestly, I would go to Juan because he knows his stuff. Um, but yeah, Sarkis is really good at physics. Pretty much all of our physics tutors they're really good. They're gonna graduate this semester, so they know their physics. But yeah, that's kind of just a little breakdown of what we do. If you want a writing appointment, those are appointments. You can't do drop-in. If you want to do stats or math or computer science, anything other than writing, there's no appointment necessary. You just walk in, you tell them who you want to work with or what you want to work on, and they'll get you squared away. So yeah, the only thing really is that we're open from 9 to 6 every day, which can suck if you're a night person and you want tutoring at 9 p.m. We do not have tutors available at 9 p.m., so try and think ahead of that. But other than that, I think that's the basic overview of the Learning Center and kind of like what we do. Do you guys have any questions for me? And it is free, by the way. Everything with the Learning Center is free. And I think we have a Discord too. I don't know how much we actually use our Discord. Let me see. It's just called the Fresno State Learning Center. Like that's all it's called. So.
You want to give a 3-minute overview of data science?
Yeah, sure. Let me pull up the other screen.
I've talked to Stephanie about having her come in before we do our little data science bit in CSI 1, but if you want to give a little 2-3 minute teaser of like what it's about, maybe whet their appetite a little bit.
Okay, yeah. So data science is the new cool thing. It's really really new. It only came about like in the 90s, which I know to you guys may not feel that new, but considering that like physics has been around for hundreds of years, data science is really new. And you can do so many things with data science. I mean, it's in literally every field. You can work for ESPN, You can work for Wall Street. You can work for Allstate. Like anything out there uses data science. And you can take a whole bunch of numbers that look meaningless and boring, and you can make them really tell a story. And it's amazing for prediction, for analysis. I am a math major, and so when I started off as a math major, I switched from pre-nursing because I was really interested in the health aspect, and I wanted to understand scientific research for stats. And so I had no idea what I was getting into. There was so much coding involved in the math major, and we've delved into AIs and just different machine learning. Um, Data science is really fun. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything else in terms of keeping it short and simple.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
But it's like
yeah,
would you say it's like a combination of like math and computer science and stats, or I guess stats or math, or
yeah. Honestly, it's a combination of all of my favorite things because I like math, but I don't love it. I don't want to do a ton of math. And so then that's when the computer science comes in because then it's like, oh, the computer just does it for you. But you don't have to know a ton of computer science in that. You don't have to know web development type of thing. But yeah, it's a mixture of honestly, like I found that it's a mixture of math, statistics, computer science, and art, really.
mm,
Because I've had to do a lot of PowerPoint presentations for different data sets and different research I've done with them. And I don't want to like toot my own horn, but honestly, mine were the best. And the only reason that mine were the best is because people just presented these boring, bland PowerPoint presentation and it just had code on it and it just had a whole bunch of math on it. And we're all math majors, but none of us want to look at code or math on a PowerPoint slide. We want to look at cool art that kind of tells the story of what we're learning.
mm-hmm.
And so I would put different graphics on mine and different pictures, and it was a lot more visually pleasing. So I had to learn a little bit of like Photoshop and Lightroom, and like I would use different photos that I took on my phone, and I tried to make them actually look good. So there was a lot of different aspects with this, and you can really take this into any field. Um, you can take this this semester. I've been tutoring students who are econ majors, business majors, and they've had to learn R. They've had to learn different statistics classes. So data analytics is really just spreading into literally every field, even Sephora. If you're a woman who wears makeup and does Sephora, like Sephora has their own data analytics team. So there's literally nowhere that you're not going to find data analytics.
That's really cool. All right, awesome. Everyone, please give a warm round of clap emojis to Miss Motzenbacher. Like I said, she's awesome, and we're gonna bring her back in week 13 or something. Right, Steph? You're
Yep.
committing to that? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold you to that. Awesome. Thank you so much
Okay.
for coming out and letting the students know about it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, cool. All right, so we got 8 minutes left. So let's go over the quiz. Yeah, and data science is hot. Like it really is. There's a lot of jobs in it right now. So if that speaks to you, like that whole, you don't have to visualize just poop maps. There's a lot of things you can do with it. But it's a burgeoning field. All right, so average score on this quiz is 51%. You want to expand poop maps? See, eat, eat your fiber. There you go. Okay. All right. So is this argument valid, invalid, or so? I'm just going to stop there. Okay. Is this argument valid, invalid, or sound? Premise one: all mammals have hair. Premise two: you are a mammal. Conclusion: you have hair. So first step when we do this is to see if the logic works. So all x have y. You are x, therefore you have y. True. If all x have y and you're an x, then you most definitely have y. And oftentimes it helps to just replace mammals with x and hair with y. just to see if the logic works. Okay. This class does not go back in person ever. This is a set up from the beginning as a virtual asynchronous class. So there's no in person at all for this class, even if the rest of Fresno State goes back in person. Last semester, the students actually voted 75% to 25% to be virtual asynchronous. So, yeah. Okay. Oh, outside of this class, yeah, I don't know. I've given up trying to predict the future when it comes to COVID and whatnot. So the logic works. So it's going to be valid or sound, and in fact, we can see only three people picked invalid. Invalid would mean the logic doesn't work. Okay, so now we have to determine is the answer sound or valid. So is it true that all mammals have hair? Yeah, that's actually a definition of mammals. Even dolphins have hair. And so, yeah, that's what it means to be a mammal. You have hair. You produce milk. The mothers of a child produce milk, and that kind of stuff. Okay, so you are a mammal. I hope you all are. If you are a robot, Zuckerberg, and would like to object privately via Discord that you put down valid because you're not a mammal, please contact me. But yeah, sound is in fact the right answer because that's true and that is true. Go. The logic works. Both premises are true. It's sound. All right. If an integer is negative, the absolute value of that integer is equal to -1 times that integer. So the absolute value of -5 is 5. Premise 2, if an integer is non-negative, the absolute value is equal to it. For example, the absolute value of 5 is 5. And conclusion, the absolute value of an integer must always be greater than the integer. That is false. The reason why it's false is because 5 is not greater than 5. It's equal to. So remember the alligator and the alligator with a little lion beneath it, greater than or equal to. So in this case, this is not the case because this is equals and not greater than. Okay. Only one you got right because it's math. Cool. So that is invalid. For the people who said valid but not sound, you're saying that the logic works, but one of these premises is false. And both these premises I'm pretty sure are true, right? So, don't just guess on these things. Take it step by step. Step 1, does the logic work? Step 2, are both premises true? So, if anyone wants to argue with me on it, post it on Discord and I will consider your pleas. Okay, premise 1, you are what you eat. If you eat something, you become it. Premise 2, I've eaten a chicken. Conclusion, I am a chicken. So this is a valid argument. If you are what you eat, and I've eaten a chicken, then the logic follows I am a chicken. However, this is not actually the case. You can eat chickens without becoming a chicken. So that premise 1 is false. So this is, for people who said sound, you're saying you are what you eat is true, that if you eat something, you become it. That's not the case. If you drink water, you don't turn into water, Invalid, a lot of people picked invalid because it seems ridiculous, right? Like, you just look at the conclusion, I am a chicken. That's false. Must be invalid. All right. But if you look at the logic, just the logic of it, if you eat X, you become X. I've eaten X, therefore I become X. Like, that's it's valid logic. It's just not sound and at all, right? And so that's kind of why I said this topic, like, requires us to go over it multiple times because learning that distinction between valid but not sound and valid and sound requires some mental effort and training. Okay. That's why I do it early in the semester. So you will get you'll get another one of these today, and we will keep doing this until the percentages go up. Once I'm satisfied, y'all understand the concept of valid, invalid, and sound, I will show mercy and stop giving it to you. Okay, so in conclusion for what we talked about today, we talked about, first of all, truth tables at the very beginning and or not an XOR. How to do a truth table. I then went on a sort of a sidebar about the housing crisis, but like I said, like if you're talking about social issues, like that's like a big one. It's a really big one. I don't know if it's the biggest, like I said earlier, but it's a big one. Like it impacts everything. And then after that, we had Matsubacher come in and tell you all about the tutorial center and a little bit about data science. Then we finished off by reviewing valid, invalid, and sound, and that is our class for today. So if you guys have any questions, please post them on to Discord. If not, I shall see you all on Friday, where we will kind of finish off our logic unit for now, and we will move on to social issues next week. Okay, no questions? Sounds good. Thanks, you all. See you next time.